Good morning, what's shaking, what's happening? Welcome back to Tasty Bites Timeless Travels. And today is day 11 of the Holland America World Cruise 2025 aboard the MS Rotterdam. And today is another port stop. It's our first day in Lima, Peru. Come join us for the day. Now, as I talked about yesterday, we're not actually docked in the city of Lima. We're just a little on the outside in the Colonial district, I think is how it's pronounced. I don't know. It's not a very super safe area. We're also at a working port, if you cannot tell by all the cargo ships in the background. But there are some beautiful mountains, kind of right over there, maybe. I don't know, I haven't figured out how to point yet. But fear not, Holland has arranged for buses that will take us to a safer area of Peru, of Lima, of the greater Lima area, to drop us off. We saw them lined up. There's also some local vendors that are set up if you just want to do some local shopping and you're not interested in going into the city. But remember, we have a short excursion today. We had originally picked one which was a 4-hour bus ride. We're not huge bus ride people, so we went and talked to short excursions. We found one which was a slightly smaller bus ride, but then stops at the big museum, and it's called the Larco Museum, and it includes lunch. So we opted to change to that. Short excursions was super nice and helpful with it. I will say we didn't book a lot of short excursions in advance because I thought, oh, I'll be able to get them on the ship. But because this is the World Cruise, a lot of people book super early. There are people that do this every year. This is their snowbird instead of having a house in Florida. They end up with so much onboard credit that they don't book excursions until they get on the ship. So anything your heart, like you really want to do, like the Great Barrier Reef, I suggest booking beforehand, or Easter Island is already all sold out. Those you do it beforehand, but Lima did not get competitive until after her port talk yesterday, where she talked about how dangerous it was to leave the port by yourself, and even going to Miraflores, certain things that Holland recommended. So all of a sudden, all the short excursions got pretty booked after that. We are going to try to go into Miraflores tomorrow, but today we're just going to do the excursion. We don't always use the ship short excursions. They're not something that I have to do. We've tended to do it a lot with Holland just because we typically get the have it all package, and that includes a short excursion credit. But this is the World Cruise. You can't have it all. You got to buy it all separately. In fact, this is one of the first ones they've had a drink package, which we did get. Very much so financially a better choice for us. So we do have to pay for these excursions with Holland individually, but because of how this port is set up, it was just a whole lot easier to book it through Holland. I wasn't going to find anything that was going to save me a massive amount of money going outside of the ship, especially when you have to take in the logistics of how you're going to get to that tour, because we're in such a dangerous area of Lima. So we're getting ready. We've got about 40 minutes before we need to make it down to the World Theater. That's where they typically meet for Holland. Otherwise, you'll meet outside on the pier, but I think all of Lima's actually will meet in the World Theater just because there's not a lot of area on that outside the ship to organize people. And we will get this day really going. See you in a bit. All right, so we are chilling at the World Theater, waiting on our tour to be called. It's a very simple process with shore excursions with Holland. Now we're on a small group tour. There's only 15 people on it, and ours is the last tour to depart for the day. So pretty much everyone that's in here is waiting on the same tour, which is ours. That's why there's no one else around. Alright, so we made it on the bus. This is a really nice bus. These are like leather seats and seatbelts. Got a nice big window. Love the view of the port at the moment. Should be a good time. We just entered the Museum Larco, and this place is beautiful. It's amazing that after all that traffic we sat in and all those random like buildings and bodegas and things, this is here. This used to be someone's house way a long time ago, and they've turned it into a museum with a beautiful botanical greeting. It is stunning. We got a special little museum sticker, and we've got a little translator thing. So let's go see what this is about. We're also going to have lunch here. The menu looked fantastic online, but I'm not really sure what it includes with the actual lunch with the excursion, but we looked at it, so we'll see. So the museum doesn't allow hats or sunglasses. Note. All right, so excursion, and yes, I'm having to do this from the main dining room because that excursion went way over, which has happened to us before with Holland. It was supposed to be 5 hours. The bus left at 10:15. We actually left 5 minutes early, but then things just went downhill. The Lima traffic is terrible. We were pre-warned about that. It took us an hour and a half to get into Lima itself, into the center town. To that first part where we walked around. But then we got to the museum. Museum's beautiful. We were when we walked in, we were awestruck. It was gorgeous, but it was already like 1:15ish. And then we had to be led through the museum with our guide. Now, she was very passionate about the ceramics in this museum, and I think you really have to appreciate pottery or tapestry, because there was a lot of threads and things like that there, to really have appreciated this museum. I love museums, but I don't necessarily like being guided through a museum, and she had a thicker accent, so she was very difficult to understand. But then the big problem is we started getting hangry. Because if the tour is only listed at 5 hours and it's got lunch in it, you really think you're going to eat lunch by at least the 4-hour mark, right? Which would have been 11, 12, 1, 2. By 2, we didn't sit down at lunch till almost 3. Or we sat down at lunch at 2:30, but they didn't bring any food till almost 3. And then they didn't even tell us what we were eating. So it was very strange. And then on top of it, when we said the thing about C's allergy, it really threw them off. So that little sheet that she filled out with short excursions, I'm not sure why. They had no idea. So we did not enjoy our lunch. But here we are back in the main dining room for a wonderful dinner. All right, appetizers have arrived. So you got the seared tuna. That looks delicious. The tuna is very locally caught. They were carving it at the buffet station the other day, actually. And then I got the little cod slider, like a little teeny tiny fish sandwich with some sort of sauce and a lemon. All right, so entrees have arrived, and we ordered a lot because we were starving. C got the fish. It was supposed to be cobia, but it's wahoo with some black rice and some vegetables. We both got barbecue ribs. Hers is the dairy-free version. Mine has the corn on the cob because it has butter. And then I also got the New York strip steak. It was not very adventurous. We were just starving. All right, and after we gorged ourselves on that dinner, for dessert, C's got pineapple sorbet. It has chunks of pineapple in it. That's pretty fantastic. And I have a cookies and cream sundae, which is looking rather delicious. A note about ice cream, it was everywhere out in Peru. Everywhere I turned around, there was an ice cream stand. And I do love some ice cream, and I really wanted to buy a street vendor ice cream, but I didn't have any cash on me at the time. But they do love their ice cream in Peru. All right, so we are back on the world stage. They have another new show tonight. It's the Great American Songbook, so it should be a really good one. I was a music major, so I do like the shows like this. But once again, we got in our new favorite seats. Just look at the view. Which there'll be people here, but there won't be that many people. The ship isn't very busy. A lot of people are off of it to go to Machu Picchu. So dinner was crickets in the dining room, and I'm assuming the show is going to be kind of the same way. And with that, we are going to call it an evening. It was a fun but very long day. I honestly, I don't know if I would ever do that excursion again. It was just way too long. We sat down to lunch when we were supposed to be back on the ship. So, which we've had that happen with Holland excursions before. Like I said, they can run a little long, but this was exceptionally long. But we did make it to dinner on time. Saw the Great American Songbook thing. We sat for about 4 or 5 songs. It's not exactly what we expected. It was very like old school jazz. So not quite our vibe. We kind of thought there was going to be a little bit more like Sinatra and things like that. So, you know, but they were still a very good band. I can see why they've been popular. This is like their 3rd year on the world cruise. It's one of their big major gigs. And then we played in the casino a little bit because I didn't realize it was going to be open. I thought it was closed the entire time we were in Peru, but no, it's actually open, which is amazing because there's a lot of casinos in Lima. We drove by quite a few of them on the bus today. But then we tried to go to Rolling Stone, but first off, there was barely anyone there because so many people are not on the ship right now. And then second off, it was back to the 80s, and it's the same exact 80s set that they did the other day. Like, they didn't even vary the order of the songs or anything, so a little boring. So we're going to call it an early night because we're going to try to get up early tomorrow, have an early breakfast, and try to catch one of the early shuttles out to Miraflores to see what that area is because people said it was very nice. So after a day of not as nice as we thought it was going to be, it'd be nice to kind of do something different and at our own pace because that's kind of how we prefer to tour anyway. So make sure you like, subscribe, keep following us along to see the adventures of the World Cruise 2025 for Holland. Have a great night.